A Potawatomi County jury has convicted a 22-year-old Wamego man of distribution of a controlled substance causing death. The conviction against McCain Farr stems from a March 2023 incident at a Manhattan hotel involving Thomas DeLoach of Manhattan, who died from drug poisoning. This was Farr's second conviction on the same charge. In December, he was convicted in the September 2021 death of Jason Ebert of Wamego. Farr is scheduled to be sentenced on April 18th. A new board member has been appointed to the Riley County USD 378 School Board. Sarah Wallmeyer-Cox, who applied for the District 3 vacancy, was sworn in during a special meeting on Wednesday. Board President Samantha Brown spoke to the process of filling that vacancy.
We typically interview board applicants, but Sarah ran for that position and got a lot of votes.
Wallmeyer-Cox was defeated in the November election by Jeff Hancock by a 57 to 43% margin. Hancock resigned his seat on February 12th after disagreements with a majority of the board over matters involving the superintendent's contract. Fellow board members Nathan Mead and Justin Ricketts also resigned a few weeks later. Their seats are still vacant. Wallmeyer-Cox will serve in the position until the November 2025 general election. She would then have to file for election to serve out the remaining 2 years. Manhattan Public Works crews are finalizing a plan to improve traffic efficiency. City commissioners were presented Tuesday with a traffic system master plan, which is nearing completion. It takes a broad look at the city's array of traffic signals, pedestrian signals, school zone signage, and painting, as well as the brains of the mechanism that makes those systems communicate. A big part of that is through underground fiber optic cables. Olson engineer Kurt Rodering says they looked at a couple of options. Both of them included a fiber backbone.
The first one uses fiber to build out all the signals. The second one uses fiber for the main backbone, and then uses wireless, which is a cheaper system, to connect to the further signals and pull them in.
Updating existing hardware and lights requires funding which the city has yet to allocate from the general fund. The city currently budgets $1.3 million annually, and the city's current street maintenance sales tax will end in 2026. Rodering says building up the communications network helps safeguard the city against any future technology changes.
To have a consistent budget for replacing signals and your equipment, you don't want to not do anything for 15 years, then have 10 signals that are failing and you have to have a huge chunk of your budget to replace those. You want to stay ahead of those signals.
City commissioners Tuesday favored cooperating when burying fiber optics and agreed that pedestrian safety will be a priority in the new plan. With many dry, windy days occurring over the past several weeks, the Manhattan Fire Department is reminding homeowners to keep their yards clear of any fuels to prevent any outdoor fires. Manhattan Fire Marshal Jake Powell.
We encourage homeowners to maintain their properties in a safe and sanitary state. So any reduction of fuel around the house helps on these dry, windy days. If a fire would break out, having less fuel around keeps the fire from growing and spreading fast.
The fire department will be assisting public works crews next week with the annual spring cleanup. Residents are reminded to keep things like brush and limbs in a pile near the curb. A schedule of pickup dates can be found at newsradiokman.com. Wamego Health Center is closing in on the completion of its new MRI facility. The imaging suite replaces a mobile MRI unit that had previously come to Wamego twice a week by trailer. The fixture allows for greater radiological imaging in the city and provides greater assistance in emergency situations when MRI imaging might be necessary. Wamego Health Center Administrator Brian Howells says the relationship between the city of Wamego and Ascension Via Christi is a unique and positive one.
It's unique in that the city continues to own the building and the land, and the hospital in Manhattan runs the operation. And it's just been a terrific joint venture, a wonderful partnership that I don't think either entity could have done on their own.
Construction is slated for completion on Monday, but a tentative ribbon cutting will take place on May 3rd, allowing for extensive safety testing of the MRI in facilities before opening to the public. March is National Nutrition Month, and this year's theme encourages citizens to think about where their food is coming from. Local dietitian at Ascension Via Christi, Brittany Petty, says eating with the environment in mind can help with sustainability.
One, it typically helps to promote foods that are more nutrient dense. It also helps to preserve environmental resources, so it kind of goes hand in hand.
The purpose of National Nutrition Month in March is to encourage people to make informed decisions about the food choices they make and develop healthy eating and physical activity habits. Kansas Republicans have advanced proposals to limit the state's involvement with individuals and companies from China and other U.S. adversaries. Bills approved Wednesday by the Kansas House would prevent them from owning farmland or business property, limit state investments in their company, and restrict the use of foreign-made drones. The bills are targeting what are called countries of concern. In addition to China, the list includes Cuba, Iran, North Korea, and Venezuela, as well as any U.S.-designated terrorist group. Some GOP conservatives want to go even further, while Democrats suggest the measures are fueled by xenophobia. All three bills go next to the Kansas Senate.
Good morning, I'm Troy Coverdale with your sports headlines at News Radio KMAN on this Thursday morning as K-Man's Morning News continues. Riding a 9-game winning streak, the K-State baseball team opens a key Big 12 weekend series tonight at Tointon Family Stadium. The Texas Longhorns visit for a trio of contests, sitting one back of K-State in the conference standings. The Wildcats are out to a 5-1 Big 12 start and returned to the D1Baseball.com top 25 this week as the only conference team in the poll. Josh Wintraub will start on the bump for K-State tonight, and preseason pitcher of the year, LeBaron Johnson Jr. will counter for the Longhorns in the 6:05 contest. Coverage at 5:30 on News Radio KMAN tonight. After a 106-loss campaign a season ago, the Kansas City Royals revamped their starting rotation and their roster with free agent pickups. Today we get a first look at that team as it faces the defending divisional champ Minnesota Twins. Kansas City sends Cole Reagans to the mound to start on opening day for the first time in his career.
Based on what he did here last year and how we feel about him and his future and the pure stuff, we feel like this is the right decision for us to match up the best we can over the whole series with the Twins.
Matt Quattraro's team to face Pablo Lopez of the Twins in the 3:10 contest. Coverage on News Radio KMAN gets underway at 2:30. Openers in New York and Philadelphia postponed a day until Friday because of rainy forecasts in both of those cities. One of the incoming changes for college football this season will be the likely allowance for teams to use helmet communications.
Coach Wells and myself have talked to a few NFL coaches, and what we're looking at are what are some of the issues that they have encountered. We are looking at what is going to be the best method for us. We will use the component of the radio communication with the quarterback. I can't say that we have the exact plan as it stands right now after 6 practices.
K-State co-offensive coordinator Connor Riley on the change approved by the NCAA Football Rules Committee earlier this spring. It's headed for a final vote next month. Now, while teams could use sideline-to-helmet radio during this past bowl season, neither K-State nor NC State did during the Pop-Tarts Bowl, as the Wolfpack said no to the opportunity. As mentioned, the Wildcats have 6 practices behind them now. They're allotted 15 for the spring. In the midst of March Madness, the NCAA is pushing for states with legal wagering on sporting events to ban prop bets on college athletes. NCAA President Charlie Baker expressed concern yesterday the bets threaten competitive integrity. With the NCAA tournament's round of 16 to start tonight, former K-State assistant and current Illinois head coach Brad Underwood.
We have competitive integrity, and I think that's the one thing that we can never jeopardize. I think in the Big Ten we've been very, very proactive in terms of putting out an injury report before games to help protect student athletes and coaches, and I'm a big fan of that. I would hate to see the day where nobody jumps for the jump ball because of a prop bet, and to me that's the greatness of college athletics is the competitive integrity that we have, and we should be able to keep that.
Baker's statement came 2 days after the NBA confirmed it opened an investigation into unusual betting patterns surrounding props involving Toronto Raptors forward Jonte Porter. Some NBA players and coaches have been outspoken recently about prop bets and how gamblers react when numbers fail to hit. The American Gaming Association estimates $2.7 billion is being bet this year on March Madness through legal sports books. As for games tonight, Underwood's team takes on Iowa State and coach TJ Otzelberger.
We recognize the strength in our opponent and how great they are going to the offensive boards. They go with force. They're one of the top teams in the country. They've got multiple guys. They've got great size, length, athleticism. And so we recognize that strength of theirs. and yet we feel like on a daily basis the things that we do prepare us for these type of opportunities, and we're confident in that plan.
That contest, the late one in the East region, following defending champ UConn meeting San Diego State in a rematch of last year's championship game. In the West tonight, North Carolina faces Alabama, and Arizona will take on Clemson. Coverage presented by Booth Creek Wagyu on News Radio KMAN follows K-State baseball. Our coverage gets underway this afternoon with the Royals at 2:30. First pitch at 3:10 as they take on the Twins today. We then pick up K-State baseball coverage at 5:30 ahead of a 6:05 start for the Wildcats against the Longhorns at Tointon Family Stadium. And NCAA tournament coverage joined in progress following the completion of the K-State baseball game tonight. All here on News Radio KMAN.